There are some reports suggesting that Canucks alternate captain JT Miller wants out. He would like a trade out of Vancouver, and there are other rumblings suggesting that the Canucks and Rangers may be involved in deep talks and a pretty significant blockbuster deal. We'll discuss what this could mean for both franchises, what some trades might look like, and what's the likelihood that there's truth behind this and Miller wants out of Vancouver. We'll discuss all that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some reports suggesting that JT Miller may want out of Vancouver. Now, of course, I want to take this with a grain of salt so far. It's been reported by an account called Goat Radio Podcast. Obviously, they are not at least mainstream-wise, well-known group, but I will give them some credit. Obviously, they do have some sources must have at least a little bit of legitimacy around the Canucks organization. They had been accurate in previously reporting some other details on Miller's leave of absence and what was going on with that situation. So I do kind of feel like they must know something, and it's not it's not like they don't know anything here. So again, we've even seen reports in the past from top reporters turn out to be have some inaccuracies in them, right? So we want to, as I said, proceed with caution here. I'm not going out there saying that Miller definitely wants out, but there are reports suggesting that he does. And there's been a lot of speculation over his absence from the Canucks in the past couple of weeks. We know it's personal. We know it's not related to anything that would involve the player assistance program, like drugs, alcohol, that type of stuff. That's been, because that would have been announced by the NHL or the PA that he entered the program. That's not the case here. So, let's just kind of look into what happened, what transpired, and just kind of what the beliefs are out there. For one, we know that before Miller went on leave, that he had, not a great game, and that he was benched by Rick Tocchet for an extended time. I believe it was a whole period. I know when Tocchet was asked about it, he said that he felt that he was playing the guys who was giving the team the best shot for the team to win. So obviously he was not happy with Miller's game in that particular situation. Even the great players have off nights, have bad nights, and they all need to be held accountable. So I don't think anything was really alarm setting in that scenario. You would think JT Miller would be a guy that would want that type of accountability. So, of course, we don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes in the locker room either, but we do know that Miller is a very passionate teammate. I think it's fair to say that his leadership style is not necessarily for everyone. And I do think it's fair to say that sometimes the emotional side of it can be challenging for him to manage. We've seen situations in the past where, I think it's fair to say that some of his teammates maybe just weren't feeling it. You know what I'm saying? So I do wonder, and this is just a personal thought. I have no information to suggest it's 100% true or not. It's just my own gut feeling. Is I kind of think and wonder if there's something between Miller and Elias Pettersson. We know Pettersson has had long stretches of poor play and just really questionable, wondering what's going on with him. And I kind of wonder if it's a case of him and Miller just not seeing eye to eye, and maybe it's getting to him from a mental standpoint. I don't know. But since Miller has been on leave, we've seen Pettersson's game get a lot better. He's not quite I don't think to his full potential, but it's a heck of a lot better than what it was. And he has been racking up more points. I think he's feeling more confident. It just seems like overall everything appears better for Pettersson. And I've seen a lot of Canuck games, and recently, especially with a recent East Coast swing, it just seems like he's a bit different. And I just can't help but wonder, is this somehow connected to the fact that Miller's not there? That's just a personal thought. Like I said, I can't back that up with any legit sources or information. That is just my own gut instinct. I do wonder if having those who just don't gel for some reason. And we do wonder, and some people wonder if, there was a little bit more that went on behind the scenes between Miller and Tocchet. Did the team kind of not really force him to take a leave, but kind of, push him in that direction? We've heard comments from management saying that when he comes back, he's going to be a better teammate and all this stuff. So, like, I don't know. It's just really hard to put it all together. And then we get this post yesterday from this podcast. So I said I was newly discovered for me. And then looking back through their history, it's like, okay, well, they have been right about some other stuff. So I don't want to discredit it, but I also don't want to go out there without it being, kind of rubber stamped by some, higher ranking insiders to say that, okay, there's smoke here. Like, this is really onto something. So, because it could develop into a major story. It could turn out to be nothing if Miller comes back, goes back to work with the Canucks, and we never really hear of any, riffs or anything, and he just continues playing and goes back to being what he was. I would think that Vancouver's first choice here would be to not make a move, and that they would be wanting to talk to him about, staying if this is legitimate. But if they've acknowledged it, but if my gut instinct that, if it comes down to choosing between him and Pettersson, then I think they're going to pick Pettersson because he's a lot younger. He's, as much as they love Miller, I don't know they can justify trading Pettersson over it. But I would hope the two teammates could find a way to get over themselves and work together here. It's a common goal, right? Anyways, like I said, I can't verify that. That's just my thoughts. But we've all been hearing a lot. We know the whole story around the New York Rangers. Ever since the things were already starting to spiral a little bit. And then we heard the big bombshell report from Elliotte Friedman, which will be coming up on 2 weeks now, I think. That the Rangers were open for business and that Chris Drury had made it known to the other teams and GMs that guys like Trouba and Kreider were available. Now, that's been verified by enough other sources. Basically, we know the GMs all talk. They have group chats, email threads, whatever, like combination of all these communication factors. And it was verified by enough people that Drury made it known to the other GMs that I want to shake up my team. I'm looking to make some moves. These are some of the names that I'd consider moving. So, that's a big deal, right? We've seen the fallout from that. We've seen a major reaction, which you'd expect from media and fans, of course, because it's huge news, especially in the case of Kreider, who you wouldn't expect to be in that predicament. And then, the team on the ice has spiraled even further, with a lot of, outside of the win against Montreal, which, again, they probably didn't even deserve that one. That's a case where didn't really deserve the win, but they found a way, and against a team that's low in the standings, you would hope that they'd find that way, and they did. But outside of that, they've had some pretty rough games the last, 6, 7, 8 games here. A lot of, own mistakes. Last night's game against the Devils, a lot of self-inflicted wounds. So we've heard, about trades between these two teams before. It was believed the Canucks had interest in Braden Schneider, but this would have been like a year ago, or actually probably more like almost 2, because about a year and a half, because at the 2022 deadline, before Miller got his long-term extension with the Canucks, there was some talk that whether or not he was going to sign or be traded between him and Horvat. We knew that one was likely going to go, and it ended up being Bo, of course, and Miller stayed and signed. But there was some talks between the Rangers and the Canucks in that Braden Schneider was a player that they were going to insist on being a part of any deal, and the Rangers didn't want to do that. Now, we know the Canucks have been in the market for defense. They've got Ryan Lindgren and they've got K'Andre Miller on expiring deals, need new contracts. It's believed that they would also be potentially available for the right price. Obviously Jacob Trouba and Chris Kreider, whose names are out there, have some significant trade protection and where they can block about half the league. We have no clue how they feel about Vancouver. Is Vancouver on that list? Is it not? I don't know. That certainly would make things interesting for sure. But again, we can't verify exactly how that will work. I seen one post suggesting that they were talking about Miller for Zibanejad. And it's because obviously the Canucks probably would try to get a center back because losing Miller would be a big blow to their center depth. So clearly Zibanejad fits that bill and could be big, but he has a full no-move clause in his contract. I just don't see Mika waiving to go anywhere. It's hard to imagine a team that he would go to. But again, I don't know how Mika feels, and I don't know if Mika's been approached and any of that stuff. But, either way, the Rangers have been after Miller for a couple of years, really. I think, the newer regime there has been, because obviously he's a former Ranger. They love what he brings, and have been trying to get him there. So, you get all those talks from the Rangers side, because there was reports even before this newest one saying Miller wants out of Vancouver, that the Rangers had been poking around Vancouver about Miller. Now, it doesn't mean that Vancouver was interested. We know they love JT Miller there. And like I said, I don't think their intents are to trade him, but if their hands forced, maybe they don't have a choice. So we'll have to wait and see where this goes, but this could be a massive development. We'll be curious to see here. I know, really, I think we'll have clarity in the Miller situation soon enough. Either he comes back to the team, or we find out that there's truth to the fact that he wants to be moved. Now, if that becomes publicly confirmed, then that's going to take away some leverage from the Canucks. So they're going to be fighting to keep this quiet, if indeed it is true. So it's an interesting scenario. I feel for both fan bases right now, because I'm sure fans are probably quiet, kind of nervous of what's going to happen, who's going to go, what's the team's going to look like, is a deal going to materialize? Lots of uncertainties, but that's where things are at right now. We don't really know anymore. But if you're a Canucks fan and Miller wants out, do the Rangers pose some good assets to maybe to make a deal? Whether, even if it's not one of the core guys, are you looking at like a Philip Hedl, a Capo Caco, a Braden Schneider, a Keandre Miller, a Ryan Linger? Like, that's probably not going to be a Zibanejad or a Kreider, but could it be one of their combination of their other pieces that you might like as well? Like I said, they've been rumored to be wanting some help on the blue line. They might be able to get that, and maybe even something else. Hard to say. So, interesting times ahead. We'll wait and see what these reports generate for a buzz around the league, and see what other information comes out to either confirm or deny. But let me know your thoughts on these initial reports, what a deal could look like, and let me know what you're thinking, especially if you're a fan of either of these clubs, on how they should proceed, if at all. Let me know in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.